Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to teach you the first chapter of Moments, that is the Lost Child. So I'll explain you para by para. So it was the festival of spring. From the wintry shades of narrow lanes and alleys emerged a gaily clad humanity. Some walked, some walked, some rode on horses, others sat, being carried in bamboo and bullock carts. One little boy ran between his father's legs, trimming over his life and laughter. So in this paragraph, the author explains that it is the festival of spring, and the winter has just gone, and everyone is excited. It is like they are going somewhere in a fair, or they are going somewhere outside. Some are walking on the road, some are riding on horses, others are sitting beside the road, some are carried on bamboo, and some are going on bullock carts. And they have explained that a little boy is running here and there between his father's legs. Then, "Come, child, come," called his parents as he lagged behind, fascinated by the toys in the shops that lined the way. He hurried towards his parents, his feet obedient to their call, his eyes still lingering on the receding toys as he came to where they had stopped to wait for him. He could not suppress the desire of his heart, even though he well knew the old cold stare of refusal in their eyes. So, in this paragraph, the child's parent calls him as he was left behind, and the child was fascinated to see the shops. He was astonished, and he was so happy to see the toys, and he wanted them. So, when his parents called him, he used to go towards them without any argument, and his eyes were still on those toys and the toy shop coming in the way. As Where they stopped, he could also see one more toy shop. He liked those toys and could not resist to ask them, but he well knew that they would refuse because he was experienced. "I want that toy," he pleaded. His father looked at him red-eyed in the familiar tyrant way. His mother, melted by the free spirit of the day, was tender, and giving him her finger to hold, said, "Look, child, what is before you?" Then when he asked for toys, his father looked him very angrily, as if he was denying. And then her mother, so that he could divert his mind, asked her to look at the mustard field. So it was a flowering mustard field, pale, pale like melting gold, as it swept across miles and miles of even land. A group of dragonflies were bustling about on their gaudy purple wings, intercepting the flight of a lone black bee or butterfly in search of sweetness from the flowers. The child followed them in the air with his gaze, till one of them would still its wings and rest, and he would try to catch it, but it would go fluttering, flapping up into the air. When he had almost caught in his hand, then his mother gave a cautionary call, "Come, child, come, come on the footpath." So in this paragraph, the child's mother shows him the mustard field, which was spread miles and miles long, and then he sees a group of dragonflies which were bustling here and there in search of flowers so that they can collect nectar. And the child was fascinated by them and followed them. He was trying to catch them as soon as they stopped, but they flew away from his hand, and when he caught them, his mother called him to come on the footpath. He ran towards his parents gaily and walked abreast of them for a while, being, however, soon left behind, attracted by the little insects and worms along the footpath that were teeming around from their hiding places to enjoy the sunshine. So he was very happy, and he went for ahead from his parents, and Soon he was left behind because he was attracted towards the worms and insects that were coming out of their hiding spaces from the footpath. Actually, in this story, they have basically explained that winter is gloomy, and when winter gets over, it is the season of happiness, and everyone comes out of their home. And in this story, the family is going to a fair. So, come, child, come. His parents called from the shade of a grove where they had seated themselves on the edge of a well. He ran towards them. A shower of young flowers fell upon the child as he entered the grove, and forgetting his parents, he began to gather the raining petals in his hands. But lo, he heard the cooing of doves and ran towards his parents, shouting, "The dove, the dove!" The raining petals dropped from his forgotten hands. So, when he was looking at the worms, his parents called him, "Come, child, come," and they were seated near a grove because they were tired and was resting for a while. Then, when he was going towards them, a shower of young flowers fell upon him, and he was collecting them. Then he heard the cooing. Cooing is the sound made by the dove. Then he heard the cooing of the doves, and he was attracted towards them, and he ran towards them, saying, the dove," and dropped the petals. Then let's see what happens. "Come, child, come," they called to the child, who had now gone running in the wild creepers round the banyan tree, and gathering him up, they looked the narrow winding footpath which led to the fair through the mustard fields. So then his parents again called him, and at that time the boy was running around the wild creepers. Creepers are basically the bushes. Was running around the wild creepers and the banyan tree, and they were calling him on the footpath which leads to the fair. So basically they were going to a fair. So as they neared the village, the child could see many other footpaths full of throngs covering to the whirlpool of the fair, and felt at once repelled and fascinated by the confusion of the world he was entering. So as they were nearing the village, he could see the crowd which was entering the fair. As many roads were connected, and he could see many people entering the fair. A sweetmeat seller hawked gulab jamun, rasgulla, barfi, jalebi at the corner of the entrance, and the crowd passed round his counter at the foot of an architecture of many colored sweets, decorated with leaves of silver and gold. The child started open eyes, and his mouth watered for the barfi that was his favorite sweet. "I want that barfi," he slowly murmured, but he half knew as he begged that his plea would not be heeded, because his parents would say that he was greedy. So without waiting for an answer, he moved on. So sweetmeat seller is basically a person who sells sweets. As they have mentioned that the sweetmeat seller was selling gulab jamun, rasgulla, barfi, jalebi, and with a cover of gold and silver leaf. And the child liked barfi a lot, and his mouth watered by seeing the barfi, but he murmured that "I want barfi," but he knew that his parents would disagree, as they would say that he is greedy, and wherever he sees barfi, he is not able to resist. So a flower seller hawked a garland of gulmohar, a garland of gulmohar. The child seemed irresistibly drawn. He went towards the basket where the flowers laid, heaved, and half murmured, "I want that garland." But he well knew his parents would refuse to buy him those flowers because they would say that they were cheap. So without waiting for an answer, he moved on. So when he entered the fair, he basically saw a person selling a garland. So the person was shouting, "A garland of gulmohar, a garland of gulmohar." So the child seemed to irresistibly drawn, means that he was so attracted towards that garland that he went there. and spoke and murmured that I want that garland. But he knew that his parents would deny and say that they were too cheap. Then a man stood holding a pole with yellow, red, green, and purple balloons flying from it. The child was simply carried away by the rainbow glory of their silken colors, and he was filled with an overwhelming desire to possess them all. But he well knew his parents would never buy him those balloons because they would say he was too old to play with such toys. So he walked on further. So then he saw a person holding balloons of different colors and he wanted those balloons. He went there and he murmured that he wanted balloons, but he knew that his parents would deny and say him that he is too old to play with these balloons. Then a snake charmer stood playing a flute to a snake which coiled itself in a basket, its head raised in a graceful bend like the neck of a swan. While the music stole into its invisible ears like the gentle rippling of an invisible waterfall, the child went towards the snake charmer, but knowing his parents had forbidden him to hear such a coarse music as the snake charmer played, he proceeded further. So then he heard the sound of a snake charmer, and he was playing the music and the snake was coming up like a swan. So he went towards it, but he knew that his parents had refused him from hearing those coarse music. Then there was a roundabout in full swing. Men, women, and children carried away in a whirling motion, shrieked and cried with dizzy laughter. The child watched them intently, and then he made a bold request. I want to go to the roundabout, please, father and mother. So in this paragraph, they explained that he stood beside a roundabout and he was not able to resist. And now he asked that, can I go in the roundabout, father and mother? So let's see what happens now. There was no reply. He turned to look at his parents. They were not there. He turned to look on either side. They were not there. He looked behind. There was no sign of them. A full deep cry rose within his dry throat, and with a sudden jerk of his body, he ran from where he stood, crying in real fear. Mother, father. Tears rolled down from his eyes, hot and fierce. His flushed face was convulsed with fear. Panic-stricken, he ran to one side first and then to the other, in all directions, knowing not where to go. Mother, father, he wailed. His yellow turban came untied and his clothes became muddy. So in this paragraph, when he asked his parents to go in the roundabout, there was no reply. It was complete silence. When he turned back to see, he cannot find his parents anywhere. He ran left, he ran right, he could see he ran wherever he could find his parents, but he could not find them. A deep cry rose and he was very panicked and he ran in all directions shouting mother, father, and then his turban got open and he fell down and his clothes got muddy. Then, having run to and fro in a rage, running for a while, he stood defeated, his cry suppressed into sobs. At little distances on the green grass, he could see, through his filmy eyes, men and women talking. He tried to look intently among the patches of bright yellow clothes, but there was no sign of his father and mother among these people, who seemed to laugh and talk just for the sake of laughing and talking. So he stood at that place and started sobbing. He looked here and there and he could see men and women talking and laughing just for the sake of talking and laughing. He ran quickly again, this time to a shrine to which people seemed to be crowding. Every little inch of spare here was congested with men, but he ran through people's legs, his little sob lingering. Mother, father, near the entrance of the temple, however, the crowd became very thick. Men jostled each other, heavy men with flashing, murderous eyes and hefty shoulders. The poor child struggled to thrust a way between their feet, but knocked to and fro by their brutal movements. He might have been trampled underfoot. Had he not shrieked at the highest pitch of his voice, "Father, mother!" A man in the surging crowd heard his cry and, stopping with great difficulty, lifted him up in his hand. So in this paragraph, they have explained that he again ran here and there, and he saw some crowd at some place, and he was entering that crowd shouting, "Mother, father," and it was the crowd was in front of the temple, and there were so many men. They have mentioned that with murderous eyes and with heavy shoulders, and he ran between their legs, and then a person noticed him and quickly ran towards him and took him in his arms. Then, "How did you get here, child? Whose baby are you?" the man asked as he steered clear of the mass. The child wept more bitterly than ever now and only cried, "I want my mother, I want my father." So then the person asks him that how you got here and who is your mother, and the child kept on crying and just replied that he wants his parents. The man tried to soothe him by taking him to the roundabout. "Will you have a ride on the horse?" he gently asked as he approaching the ring. The child's throat tore into 1,000 shrill sobs, and he only shouted, "I want my mother, I want my father." Then the person, in order to make him quiet, asked him and took him near the roundabout and asked that if he wanted to ride on the roundabout. Then he refused and said that he wanted only his parents. The man headed towards the place where the snake charmer still played on the flute to the swaying cobra. "Listen to the nice music, child," he pleaded. But the child shut his ears with his fingers and shouted his double-pitched strain, "I want my mother, I want my father." The man took him near the balloons, thinking the bright colors of the balloons would distract the child's attention and quieten him. "Would you like a rainbow-color balloon?" he persuasively asked. The child turned his eyes from flying balloons and just sobbed, "I want my mother, I want my father." So the man was doing every possible task to make the child quiet. He took him near the snake charmer and asked him that listen to the nice music of the flute, but he closed his ears with his fingers and just shouted that he wanted his parents. Then he took near the balloons and asked him that if he wanted the rainbow balloons, and thought that he would be quiet by seeing the bright colors, but he shook his head and said that he only wanted his parents. The man, still trying to make the child happy, bore him into the gate where the flower seller sat. "Look, can you smell those nice flowers? Would you like a garland put round your neck?" This paragraph, the man took him near the gate where there was the garland seller and asked him to smell those garlands to make him happy, but he shook his nose and said that that he only wanted his parents. Thinking to humor his disconsolate charge by gift of sweets, the man took him to the counter of the sweet shop. "What sweet would you like, child?" he asked. The child turned his face from the sweet shop and only sobbed, "I want my mother, I want my father." So then the man finally took him to the sweet shop and asked that which sweet would he like to eat, but he refused and said that he only wanted his parents. So in this chapter, it is written by Mulk Raj Anand. So in this chapter, the poet basically tells us that the child first wanted everything that he liked. He wanted burfis first, then garland, balloons, etc., etc. But only when his parents was there with him. But at the time he lost his parents, he did not want anything and only wanted his parents. So thank you for watching this video. Just smash the like button, subscribe to my channel, do comment down the next video you want. Thanks for watching.